Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Theory, the #1 DraftKings prep show in all of the land. I am your host, Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode, we're going to be breaking down all 12 fights coming up this Saturday, February 19th, UFC Vegas 48, headlined by Jamahal Hill and Johnny Walker. Real quick, before we get into it, I want to thank you all for watching, clicking on my stuff. Go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter at Monkmatics. It'll show up here on the next screen. My handle will. Other than that, please follow me on Patreon. I just released a Patreon. I have you will have access to all of my DraftKings stats that you're going to see here, separated out, tabbed out for you for each fight. You can also see, and I'll just go to it here, my complete stat matchup, which I don't post anymore. I have more stats than probably anybody on doing shows right now. Honestly, I have a ton of stuff. Go ahead, for a couple shekels a month, check me out. You can get my comprehensive MMA stat sheet, or you can get the DraftKings stat sheet as well, or you can mix and match, do a little bit of both. So anyways, that's plugs. Now that that's out of the way, let us get started with the first fight of the night. Whoops. And of course I messed up right off the bat. There we go. Mario Bautista going up against Jay Perrin. This is a late replacement fight. Khalid Taha dropped out, so we have Jay Perrin coming in. He did fight on Dana White Contender Series, did take a loss there a few years ago. I believe it was season 3. This is going to be a bantamweight fight. Mario Bautista, as I said, Jay Perrin. I don't know why I'm repeating myself. I'm just trying to get started here. That's the other thing. We have no salaries for this fight, and we have no salaries for the Kyle Daukaus Jamie Pickett fight. So I'll try to do what I can here as far as stats go. Mario Bautista, how does he usually score? 3.36 points per minute in his 2-2 UFC career, 90 points per win. That is about average for the card. His average salary, $7,600, just under $7,700, has an average value of $665. That's 11th best on the card. In fact, it's second to last out of all fighters that I have ranked on this spreadsheet. Decently low ceiling, not a great floor here. First fight of the night, makes the optimal lineup only 46.8% of the time. Bantamweight weight class is a good weight class for optimal, 53%. Jay Perrin, if we counted his Dana White Contender Series fights, here's the numbers that he would have scored. 2.73 points per minute, giving up only 1.76, so didn't score a lot, but also didn't hardly give up anything. In fact, his opponent would have only put up 56.4 points in his win. So not too much scoring in that Dana White Contender Series Jay Perrin fight there. Bautista, when he wins by knockout, only 87 points, 93 in a decision though. Definitely something to keep track of. I know that's only one fight, but still, that's a very, very good score. That's like what Bobby Green type numbers, and he made the optimal last week. I'm not saying Mario Bautista is going to make the optimal, but you get my point. Half of Bautista's wins he's scored over 110. He's put up 90 in both of his wins. 2.76 striking points per minute. That is third best on the entire card. Has some knockout points. Is susceptible to takedowns. And look over here. Don't look over there yet. Mario Bautista, 0.48 takedown points allowed per minute. Jay Perrin in his one Dana White Contender Series fight, that's the one thing he pretty much did. 1.33 takedown points per minute. So Bautista is going to have to watch out for that. Let's see, average scoring per type. Bautista putting up a decent amount of striking points, not many grappling, and 50 bonus points. Let's see, as far as these ranks go, as I say every week, these are not gospel. It's just more of a reference for me while I'm BSing about fights here. Bautista has some pretty high volume, 5.71 strikes landed a minute. That is fourth highest on the card. Has 70% takedown defense, so not too terrible. We'll see if he'll be able to stuff Jay Perrin here. Jay Perrin could be a little sneaky play if you think, he's any good. I mean, his professional record, 10-4. So he's got 14 fights worth of experience. If he can land a few takedowns here, I mean, he could really be a viable, probably low-end salaried fighter. I'm assuming Daukaus is going to be about 8,800. I forget which salary is not being used. I think it's the 88, which would make Pickett 74, which would leave only the $9,200 salary for Bautista and the, what is that, $7,000 salary for Perrin. So Perrin might be a pretty decent option if he's around $7,000 there. Then the raw DraftKings points per minute, Bautista trending up while he is just under his opponent's average there. And then my projections, whatever you think is going to happen in the fight, here is how I think that it will score. So not very high projections in decision. Jay Perrin actually has a decently high decision win projection. I think it's all those takedown numbers. In fact, I don't think, I know it is. So yeah, like I said, guys, if you think Bautista, you know, I'll probably have a little bit of both sides of this fight, honestly. I like the Jay Perrin upside. I like his experience. And I like the price. The potential price. I know we don't have a price yet, but could be around $7,000. So I will be keeping an eye on that. What is happening? Got stuff on my keyboard. Second fight of the night, guys. Let's keep it moving. Jonathan Pearce going up against another DWCS fighter. Excuse me, I got all kinds of sinus issues happening. Another DWCS alum, I should say, in Christian Rodriguez. Let's see, this is going to be at featherweight. Jonathan Pearce, the highest salaried fighter on the entire card. He did make the optimal lineup in his one fight last year. Let's see what kind of numbers he puts up for $9,300. You get 6.17 DraftKings points per minute out of 3 fights. Very good. Only giving up 3.34 per minute. And in fact, when I said very good, that is the highest number on the card, 6.17. Scores 128.69s in his wins, and that's 2 wins, guys. That is a huge number. Gave up 106, almost 107 in his loss. Average salary, he is coming in $1,600 higher than his average, so you are definitely paying up for JSP here. But he comes with the highest average value on the entire card, 11.28. Has a raw DraftKings point per minute differential of 2.83. Highest ceiling on the card, very low floor. So interesting GPP play this week, but as I've said, highest salary on the card. But that 9,300 does win 64.7% of the time. That seems a bit low for me. If I'm paying 9,300, I want, you know, a 70% win percentage, hopefully. So that is a little bit low. Christian Rodriguez, $6,900. Again, if it's yellow up here, I just changed this actually. That's how me and you know if this is a Dana White Contender Series fighter. The yellow means that he has no UFC fights and is coming off the DWCS. So I will try to keep you updated on that. He got outscored in his Dana White Contender Series fight, if that would have happened. 65.24 points. That's it in his decision win. So not a great score there. Did not put up a ton of points. I want to see how he scored exactly when we get down there. Jonathan Pearce has scored over 100 in both of his wins, obviously. Actually over 110. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Did give up over 100 in his one loss, as we said. But look at these numbers from him. 2.53 striking points per minute. 2.81 takedown points per minute. No wonder his nickname is JSP, am I right? 0.83 control time points per minute. He is killing it as far as scoring points. And in fact, he's in the top 5, top 10 for giving up points on this card as well. So not terrible. Christian Rodriguez, what did he do? All striking. 2.29 points per minute, no takedown points, and a few control time points sprinkled in there. So that is going to be interesting. He did give up a ton of takedown points per minute in that one Dana White Contender Series fight. And as we just said, Jonathan Pearce scoring the most takedown points per minute at 2.81. So you should probably pay up this week for Jonathan Pearce. Obviously, maybe not as high as like I would have told, as I told you to go on like Casey Anthony last week. I know she was 95. Maybe not even as high as like Ronnie Lawrence, but this Pearce guy definitely has takedown upside. I mean, look at this. Almost 41 grappling points in his 2 wins, just under 20 points in striking in his 2 wins, and 70 bonus points. And when he got finished, first round finish. So maybe have a little bit of both sides of this just for the finish upside. But again, Christian Rodriguez, what kind of finishes does he have? 6 out of 7. So that's not terrible. 3 knockouts, 3 subs. But yeah, Pearce with some decent stats here. It's mostly grappling time. He controls 85% of the total grappling time in his fights. Meanwhile, Christian Rodriguez controlled only 8% of his Dana White Contender Series fight. Strength of schedule, not even close. I mean, you want this to be about 70 to 75. That is average. Anything above that's fantastic. Anything below is not ideal. So Pearce, a little bit low on the strength of schedule, but I mean, look at Christian Rodriguez. His opponents have a less than 40% win percentage, 44 strength of schedule, and a 39 strength of defeat. So, you know, crushing cans out there on the regional scene, Christian Rodriguez. Pearce with wins over Omar Morales, Kai Kamaka, and a loss in his UFC debut to Joe Lozon. Here's a little visualization of the DraftKings points per minute. As you can see, Pearce way above his opponents and trending up. His opponents also trending up, though, but not quite as steep. And here are my projections. Huge projection. In fact, the third highest on the card for Jonathan Pearce. And like I said, that is based on all those takedown points, grappling, control time points. So definitely keep that in mind this week. And, you know, DraftKings knows what they're doing for the most part, $9,300. So either way, it's not a ton. It's not going to break your bank. It's not going to break your lineup. You're not going to, you know, you're going to have to balance it with somebody at the bottom. But I think the takedown upside is very, very good here. I mean, this graph is crazy, ridiculous for Rodriguez. Huge real estate for Pearce. And then the aggregate win-loss finish rates. 100% losses have come by finish in the UFC. That's only one loss, obviously. A lot of finish wins. So I'm sure ComputerMonk is picking this one to finish inside the distance. And I will show you all my picks, just like I did last week. Hopefully I remember to do it. I'll show you all my picks at the end. Third fight of the night, Jesse Strader going against Chad and Anheliger. Again, another Dana White Contender Series fighter. I think this might be the last one on the card. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Bantamweight fight. Jesse Strader, $7,100. 300 over his average salary. His average value in his one loss was absolutely abysmal. This is crazy. He scored 2.86 points per minute. Gave up 13.44 points per minute. Didn't even fight for 2 minutes in his first fight. So what are you going to do? Got kind of crushed, as they say. Gave up 117 points. This fight, number 3 fight of the night, only makes the optimal lineup less than 47% of the time. 7,100 salary only wins 26% of the time. So not good numbers here. Newcomer Chad Anheliger, let's see here. 1-0. Well, I guess that was the DWCS fight. So no fights in the UFC yet. $9,100 for the newcomer. What are we going to get here? 2.87 points per minute, so pretty much the exact same as Jesse Strader. He also gets outscored, but by 10 points less than Strader does. Let's see. Anheliger would have scored 73 points in his win. The $9,100 salary wins over 75% of the time. So it is a pretty good salary there. I want to see how Chad Anheliger scores. Jesse Strader, all striking, 100%, well, 98% striking, 2.84 points per minute, gave up 3.05. How do you, I mean, 2.84 per minute is a ton of DraftKings points to score. That is ridiculous. And he got outscored. I mean, the knockdown, got crushed. Chad Anheliger, no takedown points in his Dana White Contender Series fight. Very interesting. 1.53 in striking, got a knockdown, and he did get a bunch of control time points, but he gave up a ton of takedown and a ton of control time. So that is interesting. If Jesse Strader has any kind of wrestling, you need to watch out. So be sure to do your tape on Jesse Strader, because I don't have the data to support that he has wrestling or not. So be sure to do your tape, but that is a stat that sticks out to me. Chad Anheliger taken down with ease in his Dana White Contender Series fight. As you see, Jesse Strader giving up tons of striking and bonus points there. Let's see. Strader, high volume. 7.11 strikes landed per minute. That means he's probably throwing, I mean, at 42%, that means he's probably throwing 19 strikes a minute, maybe 20. I don't know the exact math off the top of my head, but it's a lot. He gets outstruck. 7.61 coming back at him. So half a strike per minute differential. He controls 5% of the grappling time. I mean, this is a very small sample size here, but still, it's not a good sample. Anheliger, 58% takedown defense, not great. Average 5 takedowns per minute, or per 15 minutes rather, given up, and controlled only 27% of the grappling time. Strength of schedule is pretty similar, but I'm going to have to give it to Jesse Strader by a few points. Neither guy has a good strength of schedule, though. I mean, sub 70 in almost every category. Strader with his loss in his UFC debut to Montel Jackson, a plus 485 dog, and he did not cash there. Got his ass whooped, minus 103 ass whoop index. That's a big ass whoop index there. I mean, he got knocked down twice in less than 2 minutes. That will do it. Anheliger went against a guy with OV in his name and won a split decision. Knocked the guy down once, but got taken down 5 times. So I'm not really looking to be on the Jesse Strader side here. And honestly, I'm not really looking to be on the Chad Anheliger side here either. I'm going to have to do more tape on him. I want to see if he's got any kind of wrestling game. Because if he doesn't, if he's just striking, then I'm probably going to fade the crap out of this fight. Not good numbers in that one. Fourth fight, Diana Belbita going against Gloria de Paula. This one's going to be at strawweight. The closest line fight on the entire card, according to DraftKings, 8,200 for Belbita. What do you get there? You're paying 400 and some change over her average salary. 3.57 points per minute. That's a decent pace there, fourth highest. Gives up 4.32 points per minute, though. Not great. Getting outworked there. Average value of only 6.3, so a little bit below average for the card. Only scoring 88.78 points per win. Not a great number. Gave up over 100. Or actually, she's lost twice, so her average is almost 101 points. And this is strawweight we're talking about. Those points are usually not that high. Belbita giving up points in her losses. Not a great ceiling and not a great floor either. And actually, the $8,200 salary only wins 43.5% of the time, you guys. So it is a favorite salary, you know, favorite and underdog. It's a favorite salary, but it only wins 43% of the time. Gloria de Paula, what are we working with here? 0-2. So again, not again, but someone is going to have to win this fight, whether they like it or not. $8,000. She's coming in $50 under her average salary. Only scores 1.2 points per minute. Immediately, huge red flag. Gave up 3.9 per minute. That's a big number. So she, let's see, her opponents when she loses in her 2 fights, 103.7 points. So this one could be a decent score for whoever decides to win this fight. And then the $8,000 salary, the dog salary, 52.5% win probability. So automatically you're getting some probability odds in your favor. Yeah, I don't know, man. Strawweight fight, both girls giving up over 100 when they lose, over 4 losses. Something tells me that someone might get finished in this one, or it could just score decently well. I mean, Belbita gave up 109 in a decision loss. How do you give up 109 in a decision loss? De Paula gave up 135 when she got KO'd. Neither girl has scored over 100 in a win. Giving up points, as we said, Belbita, mostly striking offense, 2.79 points per minute. That is actually the second highest on the entire card. And she does have some knockdowns as well, 0.31 points per minute, same as her takedowns. So she's actually got okay numbers. You know, not too bad. She's almost getting outstruck, though. 2.71 coming back at her. 1.07 takedown points landed against per minute. I want to check out her takedown defense, because it does not look good, and she gets out-controlled too. That was probably a lot in that Jojua fight, I should say. Jojua. Gloria de Paula, 1.2. She's getting outstruck. She's getting knocked down. She's getting taken down and controlled. Oh my goodness. And who's the bigger, taller woman here? Belbita, taller by 2 inches, more of reach as well. Very, very interesting. Look at these striking points for Belbita in her 1 win. Gave up a lot when she lost, though, in grappling. Takedown defense for Belbita, 65%, 25% for Gloria de Paula. My goodness. Belbita landing 6.72 strikes a minute. Strength of schedule actually goes to de Paula, and it's not very close. Belbita has a terrible strength of schedule here. Her strength of victory is only 50. And I should note, all these numbers are out of 100, either 100% or just 100. So yeah, like I said, 70 to 75 is good. We are way under that in every category. Some differentials here. I mean, Belbita getting outworked pretty much everywhere, especially on the ground. especially on both of these women. No ground game whatsoever. This might be just a stand and bang fight, in which case, I mean, if there's not going to be any takedowns landed, which they've given up tons of takedowns in their careers. Actually, Jojua didn't even give up, or Belbita didn't even give up a takedown to Jojua. In fact, out-controlled her and still got worked on. What happened here? Are these stats right? How long? Oh, this is the first round. Okay, so she got finished. She got subbed out. Okay, I see. Sorry, it's a bit early for me. I'm still rubbing the sleep out of my eyes here, as you can tell. But yeah, Belbita with wins over with a win over Goldie, loss to Jojua and McCann. Paula with a loss to Cheyenne Bays, or Vlismus. Sorry, it even says Vlismus there. And Jinyu Frey. So, actually, I wasn't finished. DraftKings points per minute. We can see Belbita's opponents way above her and trending up. And 2 fights for Paula. She is well below her opponent, while her opponent trends way up. Here are my projections. A little bit higher than you would expect, but that's because both of these women give up a ton of points when they lose. Like we said, triple digits, over 100 points. So this might be a sneaky one, actually. If you think the loser is, or if the winner is going to score a ton of points, which historically, you know, as I just said, the loser does give up a ton of points here. One of these two women could be a pretty sneaky play to make the optimal. Keep that in mind. 8,200 and 8,000. You could be over the field on both of these two at probably 15%. I'm not saying to go 15% on both, but I mean, for all those points that they give up, it is an interesting thought. Next fight, Chaz Skelly. That's a name I haven't seen in quite a long time. Excuse me, going up against Mark Striegl, another name. Skelly hasn't fought in 2.5 years. Striegl hasn't fought in 1 year and 4 months. So this one could be interesting. Featherweight fight. Skelly, $8,700. Let's see here. Scores 2.7 points per minute. Gives up 3.5. Average DraftKings points per win, only 96. Gives up 106 when he loses. So a ton of points given up. Actually, 96 per win is not too bad over 7 wins. He is coming in $500 over his average salary. Has a decent value of 8.48. And this salary, 8,700, wins at a staggering 71% of the time. So you saw that 9,300 was at 62. This is 87 wins at 71% of the time. Mark Striegl, 7,500, coming in $500 more than his average salary, which is only 1 fight in which he lost, scoring 1.41 points per minute and allowing 8.65 points per minute for a differential of -7 and some change. I mean, come on, garbage. I'm not saying he's garbage. Those numbers are garbage. $7,500 salary, wins less than 30% of the time. Chaz Skelly, when he finishes fights over 100 in TKOs and subs, 84 in a decision wins, so not too bad. When he lost by decision, he gave up 140 points. I hope that's on my last 5, because how is that even possible? When he wins, let's see, 5 of 7 wins, he scored over 90. 2 of 7, he scored over 100, and 1 of 7 over 110. One of his 3 fights, he has given up over 110 points, and Striegl gave up over 110 in his. How is Skelly scoring? Not too great as far as striking. Pretty subpar, actually. Got a few knockdown points, a lot of takedown and control time points. So big grappling numbers here if you put these two together. That's what, 1.25 points a minute. So that's more than he does in his stand-up. Striking, 1.79 is what he allows, and he does allow a decent amount of takedown points and control time points as well. Striegl, how did he score? I mean, all striking. There was no wrestling in this fight. No takedowns anyway. And he got 8.47 points put on him per minute when it comes to striking. Quick win bonus for his opponent as well. And Skelly coming in with the good bonus number, 67, almost 68 points on average over 7 fights. So pretty good there. A decent finisher Skelly has proven to be in the UFC. Only landing 2.02 strikes a minute. Takedown defense is terrible at 33%. Gets 2 takedowns landed against him in 15 minutes. I don't think he is going to have to worry about that with Striegl. who has a 25% takedown defense in his one fight. I mean, Striegl's numbers is such a small sample size because I think his fight was finished in less than a minute under against Said Nurmagomedov. So, you know, got his ass whooped on right there. TKO'd. Chaz Skelly with wins over Griffin, Grutzmacher, and Maximo Blanco. And then his loss coming against Jason Knight. And that was not the 140-point loss, unfortunately. So I can't look at that off the top. Chaz Skelly coming in way below his opponents as far as DraftKings points per minute, but he is trending up. Opponents trending up at an even steeper rate. Striegl with one fight. Look at these win projections for Skelly. 113 in a decision. I mean, this is based on the fact that Striegl gives up over 8 points a minute, so that is playing into this right here. Do I expect Chaz Skelly to score this much? Probably not. I honestly don't know what to do with this fight. I'll probably have some Skelly. I like these takedown numbers. Where did they go? His takedown and control time points right here, but he's given up a ton as well. Like I said, I don't really know that we have to worry about that with Striegl. Maybe we do. We have such a small sample size. Maybe he didn't get his wrestling off. So again, do your tape on Striegl. But I like the wrestling and grappling upside from Chaz Skelly here. Here's the graph. It doesn't really mean anything if you don't have a graph from Striegl. And then the percents of finished wins and losses. 183%. There must be something off here. One of these numbers is wrong. Probably on the Mark Striegl side. I'll have to go in and check that out after the fact. Next fight, Jessica Rose Clark. Going up against Stephanie Egger. See Jessica Rose Clark. This is going to be a women's bantamweight. $8,600 for Clark. Only 100 over her average salary. So right there, she scores 3.21 points per minute. Actually has a decent points per win at 93.36. That's the 8th best on the card. And she gives up the least amount of points when she loses. 69 points. That's it. Over 2 losses. Has a decent value of 8.27. A positive pace differential, pretty decent ceiling, and an okay floor as well. So not a bad look for Jessica Rose Clark. Also $8,600 for a little salary voodoo. One of the best salaries on the card. It wins at 75.5% probability. And I think out of that, I think it makes the optimal in like 57% of wins, something like that. So it's like one of the highest percentages to make the optimal out of all the salaries. Stephanie Egger, 7,600. She did make the optimal lineup in her one fight in 2021, coming in $100 less than her average salary. She scores 2.49 points per minute, gives up 2.7 for an average value pretty close to Clark's at 8.16, scoring even better than Clark in her one win. 104 points. She did give up 80 in her one loss, however. 7,600 only wins 26% of the time. The number 6 fight of the night, though, makes the optimal lineup at a 55% probability. So that is something to consider, but it kind of balances out with the women's bantamweight only making it 44% of the time. See, Jessica Rose Clark scored a bunch when she won by knockout and 86 in a decision, so that is pretty good. Stephanie Egger also scoring a bunch, almost the exact same as Clark when she scored a knockout. So pretty interesting here. Something to note, Jessica Rose Clark has been finished by knockout TKO 6 times. All 6 losses she's lost by knockout. And Stephanie Egger has put 3 people out. So not out, but won by KO TKO 3 times. So that is something to think about here. They both score very well when they win by knockout. And Jessica Rose Clark, what's her chin? Chin dex, 0. So she's never been knocked down in the UFC. These must have all been pre-UFC fights. Scores pretty well when she wins. 30, almost 40 points of grappling, 20 points in stand-up, and 33 bonus. Stephanie Egger with a second-round finish as far as bonuses go. And then some very good striking defense from Clark, actually from both of these women. Over 54 for Egger, 59 for Clark. That's the second best significant striking defense on the card. Has a great takedown defense too, 73%. My goodness. Controls 70% of the grappling time, looking great. Stephanie Egger's strength of schedule looks to be pretty trash, except her loss to Tracy Cortez does give her a 90 in strength of defeat. I believe Cortez only has 1 loss. I think she's 10-1 or something like that. Jessica Rose Clark with an less than okay strength of schedule. Let's be honest. I was gonna try to call it okay, but I'll stop myself. Positive differentials everywhere for Jessica Rose Clark, with wins in her last 5 over Jocelyn Edwards, Sarah Alpar, and Paige Van Zant. Losses to Kianzad and Jessica I, which never looks good. Or actually she was probably a dog there, but she was definitely a favorite in that Jessica I fight. Pretty close, but still. Then we have our DraftKings points per minute. Jessica Rose Clark. I always want to say Rose Clark. Way above her opponents and trending up, while her opponents trend down. First graph we've seen all day where the opponent is trending down. And 2 fights for Stephanie Ager. She is below her opponent, trending way up, as is her opponents. And here are my projections for the fight. I like Clark to win here. I just think she has a few more ways to do it than Stephanie Ager does. But look at this graph from Ager. Very, very good. Much higher finish win percentage. But she did score that 1 knockout in the UFC. Rose Clark, I believe, she's got a 25% finish percentage there. So much, much lower. And then the aggregate career finishing percentages. Lots of finish losses. And I know that is mostly Jessica Rose Clark, but still. I think that's 7 out of 8. So each one's been finished. Jessica Rose Clark, though, that's 6 times she's been stopped by KO TKO. That is worrisome. So if you're going to play Clark for DK, you should probably play a little bit of Ager too, just for that. Ager's had a UFC knockout, and I know it was over, I want to say Dobson. No, Shanna Young, sorry. So yeah, just saying, keep that in mind for sure. Next fight, Gabriel Benitez going against, come on, computer, David Onama. David Onama, everyone very excited to see him after his crazy good debut against Mason Jones a few months ago. Everybody expected Mason Jones to kind of run through the newcomer in Onama, and that did not happen. That was a 3-round war, it felt like. Jones did get the W, but still, it was much closer than people thought. Benitez against Onama featherweight fight. Benitez, $7,800, coming in $200 cheaper than his average. Scores 2.5 points per minute. Gets outscored by 1.12 points per minute, though. Gets an average value of only 7.24. Scores only 88 points when he wins. Gives up a ton when he loses here. A ton. And you saw how my eyes lit up. You just wait till we get to the other side and see. Actually, it's not even that good. Never mind. I take it back. 7,800 only wins 44% of the time. Featherweight weight class does make the optimal 52% of the time. Onama, $8,400. So you are paying up after that performance against Mason Jones. In fact, you're paying $1,700 more than he was last time. Average value of 6.35 in that fight, 2.84 points per minute. Mason Jones teed off on him at 6.46 points per minute. I mean, Onama gave up 126 points in that loss. So what a performance by Jones. But I honestly remember, Jones definitely won, but Onama hung in there. Maybe, so, I don't know what that says. Maybe, he's got a great chin. Jones wasn't able to put him down, but Onama did give up a ton of points in that performance. So I'm trying to give props to Onama for the actual performance, but he gave up a ton of points, and that cannot be overlooked. Benitez scoring very well in his knockout wins, 124, only 76 when he got a sub, and only 65 in a decision. Meanwhile, he's given up a ton of points when he gets knocked out, and even in his decision losses, he's allowing 84. Onama giving up 126 in a decision. Yikes. Benitez gives up over 50 or over 90 points 3 out of 6 fights, over 100 points 2 out of 6, and over 110 actually 2 out of 6. Sorry, I think I said gives up. That's what he scores. So he scores over 110 2 out of 6 times. My mistake. 80%, so 4 out of 5 of Benitez's losses, his opponents have put up over 110 points. 4 out of 5. So if you're on the Onama side, Benitez gives up tons of points. Tons. Let's see here. 1.89 scored striking for Benitez. Gets some knockdown points, not much in the way of takedowns. very susceptible to being wrestled. Gives up over a point per minute takedown, almost a half a point in control time, and he's almost getting outstruck. And he's getting knocked down. So David Onama, and look at this. Opponent, oh no, that's his opponent, never mind. I was going to say David Onama, an even worse number, way worse, 2.67 takedown points allowed per minute. He gets controlled. This could be an outright striking affair, you guys. So if that's the case, I'm not expecting a ton of points, but we could still hit 90, 100, especially if we get a finish. If it goes to decision, I don't know. But it's not looking like either of these guys like to wrestle at all. I mean, they have 0.14 points per minute of grappling scoring between them. 0.14 between them. So probably a stand-up fight, in which case scores are going to be low unless someone gets knocked out. Now, Benitez has been finished by KO TKO 4 times in his career. We'll have to see if any of those have been in the UFC. Yep, he just got knocked out by Quarantillo, and he got knocked out by Yusuf back in 2019. Now, I say all that, he sports the #1 striking defense on the card. How is that even possible? 65%. Excuse me, I don't know if I hit the mute there in time, but yeah, grappling percent controlled 13, less than 2% for Onama, who has a 44% striking defense. I mean, this is going to be a stand-up battle. Strength of schedule way better for Benitez, and it's not close. David Onama barely above 60 in 2 of these categories. Has a very good strength of defeat, but Mason Jones has a good record. Benitez only beating Justin James and Humberto Bandenay in his last 5. He's getting outpaced by his opponents at a very good rate and trending way down while his opponents trend up. David Onama only 1 fight there. And here are my projections, you guys. Gabriel Benitez has a very high projection because David Onama allowed 129 points or whatever in his last fight. I do not expect that this time. Benitez is no Mason Jones, especially when it comes to the takedowns landed. Here's my graph. Yeah, like I said, I think this is going to be a stand-up battle. Like I said, none of these guys score very well as far as grappling. So if that's the case, I will be limiting exposure to both, but I probably will have more Onama because of the knockout upside. I mean, Benitez with a suspect chin has been finished in 7 of his 9 fights. Onama never been finished in his pro career. So I'll probably have more Onama. They are relatively close in salary, so that won't be a problem. Next fight, I believe, yes, Joaquin Buckley. Going up against Abdul Razak Alhassan, Uncle Weezy's absolute favorite fighter. This is going to be at middleweight. Buckley, 8,300. So coming in right at his average salary. Scores 3.3 points per minute. Gives up 2.71. 97 points when he wins. Gives up a lot when he loses, though. Over 101. 7.49 value. And the $8,300 salary wins 50% of the time. It's a 50-50 split with the $7,900 salary. So the $7,900 salary has a bit of an edge, but I mean, what are you going to get with Abdul Razak Alhassan? He has made the optimal lineup in 1 out of his 2 fights since last year. I think that was probably the DiCirico win. I mean, he scores 3.21 points a minute, gives up less than 5. I mean, just a ton. He's coming in way under his average salary at $950 under. Average value of 8.83. 126 points per win. And he's got 5 wins. They're all first-round knockouts, I bet you. Gives up 110 when he loses. Has the highest ceiling on the floor, or on the card, and one of the lowest floors. My goodness. What fight is this? Number 8? Yeah, 126 points when he wins by knockout. That's the only way he's won. All 5 wins in the UFC have been by knockout. Gives up 127 when he loses by knockout, which has also happened. Gives up 107 when he wins, or when he loses by split decision, and 100. I've never seen a number this high. 100 when he loses by split decision. And that's crazy that that's the second highest. That can't be right. This rank must be off. I'm going to ignore that. Also, it doesn't really matter. Buckley puts up over 90 in 2 of his 3 UFC wins. He's given up over 100 in 1 of those. Razak Alhassan, I mean, what a scorer. When he wins, he's scoring. over 100 or 100% of the time he scored over 100 points in his wins, has scored over 110 in 4 out of 5. I mean, he's getting tons of knockdown points. Not too much in the way of takedowns. He is giving up a ton of takedowns here per minute. 1.71 takedown points per minute. I mean, he's given up, what's that, 2.47 points a minute just in grappling. And striking, he's giving up almost that as well. So not a good look for Abdulrazak Alhassan. He is literally an all or nothing fighter. If you think he's going to beat, I mean, you have to play both sides of this fight for the knockout potential, right? Like, Alhassan's never been knocked out, but he's got 11 knockout wins. Buckley has been finished by KO TKO 3 times in his career. He also has 10 wins like that. So might have to play some Abdulrazak here. I'm sorry. You might have to. I'll probably be on both sides. I'll probably have more Buckley, but it's going to be tough. I'm going to be playing Alhassan. Just for the, I mean, how you cannot ignore 126 points a win over 5 wins. You can't ignore it. Anything could happen in a fight, so you have to have some of that potential in your lineups. Buckley, I mean, decent strength of schedule, right where I said, 70 to 75. Razak's is even better, though. He has a great strength of schedule, maybe one of the highest on the cards. Buckley getting out-controlled, out-taken down. Actually, no, I read that wrong. Sorry. He is out-controlling and out-taking down his opponents. Pretty much positive everywhere except for striking, and that's very close. Razak Alhassan is the one being out-taken down and out-controlled. A negative 12.5 ass whoop index. A good power index, but not as good as Buckley in the last 5. And these guys' chins are both super suspect. 0.74 for Alhassan, 1.9 for Buckley. Well, yeah, TKO loss to DiCarico and a TKO loss to Holland in his last 5. All 5 fights finishing by way of knockout TKO. 3 of 8 for Alhassan finishing by knockout TKO. That is 8 of 10 if you guys need help with that math. In the last 5 fights finishing by knockout. So yeah, you're going to need both sides of this fight. Graphs here, outworking his opponent is Buckley, trending down though. And then Alhassan getting outworked, but trending in the right direction. Had a decent showing against, DiCarico there. And Malkoun for that matter. Projections, decent for Buckley here, and pretty high, especially first round for Alhassan. But, I mean, look at this graph here from Alhassan. Much further out to the sides. This is where you want to be as far out to the sides as possible. Points per win, bonus points, etc. And then the finishing percentages there. I think it's safe to say this one does not go to decision. That is my guess. You'll try to keep this moving. Jim Miller going up against Nicholas Motta. Okay, the last Dana White Contender Series guy on the card in Motta. Miller, 7,700. He's coming in $100 under his average. 2.48 points per minute. Scores 91 in a win, gives up only 88 in a loss, has an okay salary. His salary wins less than 50% of the time, 47.83. Nicholas Motta, $8,500 this week. Let's see, if his Dana White Contender Series fight would have counted as a DraftKings fight, he would have scored abysmally. 1.12 points per minute, and he would have gotten outworked, but only by 1.61. 46 points in a win. That is garbage. Absolute garbage. It was a decision win. Jim Miller scores just under 100 when he knocks you out, just over 100 when he subs. Has a decent decision win rate of 78.7 points. Let's see, in 68% of Jim Miller's 22 wins, he's put up over 90. Almost 41% over 100, but that 110 is a mythical number for Jim Miller. He's only hit that probably once or twice. I'd say that's got to be once. 4.55%. Doesn't give up a ton of points. 46% of 15 losses over 90. 13% of 15 losses over 110. He's scoring points everywhere. Not a huge striker. Gets a decent amount, gets almost a point of takedown and control time points put together. Gives up more than that, though. In fact, yeah, he's getting outworked pretty much everywhere. Nicholas Motta, all of his points in that fight were striking points, no takedown points for or against. Yeah, nothing as far as bonus. He barely scored anything. Jim Miller, meanwhile, when he wins, 63 points of bonus. So he is getting finishes, you guys. 59% defense, 75% takedown defense, controls 45% of the grappling time. Nicholas Motta controlled zero. There was no grappling time, I don't think. I guess 5% of it was. He controlled 0% of that. But 100% takedown defense he showed in that fight. Jim Miller 2-3 in his last 5 with wins over Eric Gonzalez and Roosevelt Roberts. Nicholas Motta with a loss to Joe Lowry in that Dana White Contender Series fight. I mean, Jim Miller finished Eric Gonzalez in the second round, scored 103 points. So, I mean, Jim Miller's 38 years old and getting finishes out here on young guys. Jim Miller under his opponents as far as average goes, but he is trending up. And then a very low projection. I think this one goes the distance. I don't know, actually. Nicholas Motta been finished. Hold on. Something's not right about these. I must have typed in some of these finish numbers wrong. I'm going to have to go back and look at that before I post my stuff. Let's see here. Jim Miller, huge graph. I mean, that is insane. So I'm going to probably be exposed to both sides because Jim Miller, who knows what he's going to do. I'll probably have a little more Nicholas Motta, but I'm going to have to tape this one a bit more just because I don't know much about Nicholas Motta. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm typing the GOAT's name. Parker Porter. Praise be. Going up against Alan Baudot. Heavyweight fight. Parker Porter, $8,900. He did make the optimal lineup in his one fight last year. What do you get for $8,900 Parker Porter? Well, he's coming in at $13.50 over his average salary. You get the second highest DraftKings points per minute on the card at 4.46. He scored 103, or he averages 103 in his 2 losses, outworking his opponents, and the second best value on the card at 9.42. Pretty good numbers. The $8,900 salary wins 64% of the time, and this is the 10th fight of the night. This is the best fight probability to target for DraftKings. 67% of the time the winner makes the optimal lineup, you guys. Oh, and the heavyweight has the best probability as well of making optimal at 56%. So I will be pretty high on Parker Porter this week on DraftKings. Alan Baudot, $7,300, coming in $300 more than you're paying up for 0-2 Alan Baudot. Getting outworked, terrible value. Salary doesn't do crap, 27% winning percentage. But yeah, the number 10 fight and the heavyweight, anything could happen. I'm definitely going to be on Porter. Maybe I'll probably not be on Baudot at all. In a 20 max, I might have one lineup with him, but even then, like, what's the point? I guess Parker could get knocked out. I don't know. This is a heavyweight fight, 10th fight of the night. I guess I'll have a little exposure to Baudot, but I'll be pretty heavy on Parker Porter. Both of his wins scoring over 100 points. Baudot giving up over 100 just once. How are we scoring here? Parker Porter, 3.67 striking points per minute. That is number 1 overall on the entire card. Does wrestle and control as well. What is that? 0.79 points a minute in grappling. Meanwhile, Alan Baudot gets grappled. That is what he does. So he is susceptible to being grappled and gets a ton of striking points put on him as well. So when he lost, I mean, both of his losses, he's averaged a first round and a second round, so 80 bonus points. And then Parker got finished in the first round. So yeah, you're going to have to play both sides of this. As I'm talking myself through it, you're definitely going to have to play both sides. I'm going to have way more Porter than Baudot. Porter lands 8.47 strikes a minute. That's the number 1 on the card. He allows 7.7 strikes a minute. Meanwhile, that is exactly what Alan Baudot throws at 7.82, and he's getting outstruck. So yeah, this is going to be stand and bang until someone gets knocked out. That's kind of how I'm leaning here. And actually, Parker Porter has 3 subs. Alan Baudot finished twice. Both of his losses in the UFC, he's been subbed. So interesting to I wonder what the Parker Porter by sub line is. Probably not as good as I want it to be. Strength of schedule is trash for both these guys, but Parker Porter way above Alan Baudot here. Baudot lost to 2 pretty decent competitors, Nascimento and very decent Tom Aspinall. while Parker Porter has beaten guys like Chase Sherman and Josh Parisian, lost to Chris Daukaus. Porter trending up while his opponents trend up as well, but he's way above. And we have the exact opposite for Baudot, but he is trending up a little bit. And my projections for this one, pretty high. Obviously, I think this one's probably going to go to finish. It's going to end by finish, I should say. I like that Parker Porter sub, honestly. Club and sub type situation here. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But 8,900, I'll be pretty heavy on Parker Porter this week, especially at that 10th fight probability. Co-main event of the evening. Whoops, now I'm gonna have to fix that. Hooray. Co-main event of the evening, Kyle Daukaus going against Jamie Pickett. Middleweight fight. I have no salaries for this. I'm pretty sure Daukaus will be 8,800, and which makes Pickett 7,400. I think that's how that's going to work out, but I don't know for sure. For some reason, they just decided not to put a salary out for this one. Middleweight fight. What are you getting with Kyle Daukaus? 3.35 points per minute. Gives up 3.49. Average value of only 6. Scores only 91 in a win and gives up only 94 in a loss. Never made the optimal lineup. So I am not really... Those are not great numbers for Kyle Daukaus. Jamie Pickett on the other side scores 2.08 points a minute, gives up 3.24, terrible average value. When he wins in his 2 wins, less than 66 points, and when he loses in his 2 losses, 106.5. So, yeah, unless you think Jamie Pickett's going to finish here, don't play him. Not a good idea. Not too much for these guys here without a salary. You know, what can I even say? Daukaus has put up 90 in his 1 win, and Pickett has given up over 100 in both of his losses. Daukaus, 1.69 striking points per minute, 0.62 takedown, and 0.84 control time points per minute, second and first respectively on the card. So Daukaus obviously doing a lot of groundwork. Pickett, susceptible to being controlled, not a ton of takedown points given up. He's doing the takedowns himself at 0.54 points per minute. That's pretty close to where Daukaus is at. Much less control time though. When Pickett's taking you down, he's not holding you down for as long as Daukaus is, who is very active when he's on the ground. Off his back or if you're on your back. Doesn't even matter. Not a ton of high scores across the board here. Pickett giving up 60 in a loss, or in his loss as far as bonus points go. Daukaus 40%. Both these guys' striking defense is terrible. 40% each. Takedown defense is very good. Over 81% for Daukaus. Over 92 for Pickett. So I do think this one's going to hit the floor. I have no idea how it's going to hit the floor. If I had to guess, I'd probably say Pickett will land a takedown on Daukaus, but that's because Daukaus, and then Daukaus won't panic. He'll be right where he wants to be, in jiu-jitsu range, in which he controls 61.5% of the time, as Pickett scores only 35% of the grappling time. So lots more control time for Daukaus. I think he's much more comfortable off his back. That's kind of how I see this one. So if it does hit the ground, I think Pickett will probably take Daukaus down, but then Daukaus will, throw a sweep, reverse something, get on top, and then just go from there. Strength of schedule is pretty close, but you have to give the edge to Daukaus. Losing to Phil Hawes, Brendan Allen, beating Dustin Stoltzfus. He was whooping Kevin Holland's ass too before that got stopped by via no contest. Pickett beating newcomer Ugly Man Joseph Holmes and Staropoli, who's no longer in the UFC, losing to Jordan Wright and Nchukwi. So not a good look from Pickett there. Couple of visual graphs, and then we have the projections right below that. Not very high, as you could probably have guessed, unless Daukaus gets a finish, which Jamie Pickett has been finished 5 out of 6 losses in his pro career. Daukaus has also been finished 100% of his losses, so could be interesting. I like Daukaus to win. I'm not sure I like the scoring potential here, unless Daukaus gets a finish, which he's probably not going to score a knockout finish. He has none of those in his career. He's going to need a sub. Jamie Pickett has been subbed, not in the UFC. So this one's probably not going to score very well. I don't know how much exposure I'll have to it. Not a ton on Pickett, and probably not a ton on Daukaus, especially if he's going to be, $8,900. That's, or $8,800. Side note, $8,800 is one of the worst top tier salaries that you can play statistically. Probability wise, it does not make the optimal very much, and it also scores. It's one of the lowest scoring top tier salaries on the entire card, or out of all of the salaries, I should say. Main event of the evening, guys. We're just under an hour here. Let's go. Johnny Walker, Jamahal Hill, light heavyweight fight. Johnny Walker, $7,200, coming in $1,100 cheaper than his average salary. You're getting a steal on Johnny Walker. That is for a reason. He does score very well when he wins. 116.5 points, gives up less than 90. He's got a very good average value of just under 9. Only scores 2.34 points per minute, so he is very bonus point scoring based, meaning he's going to need to get a finish win to make his salary worth it, even at 7,200. His 2.34 points per minute times 15, not great. Not a good score in decisions. In fact, he has no decision wins, but in his decision losses, his opponent's only scoring 76 points. So yeah, all of that is based on him finishing early. Jamahal Hill, 3.82 points per minute, giving up 2.8 points per... Yeah, these finish numbers are wrong. I must have inputted them wrong. Just the finish numbers, though. Everything else on this stat sheet is correct, I assure you. I just must have entered the wrong... I don't know what happened there, but these finish numbers are not adding up. So I do apologize for that. I do post these on my Patreon under the DraftKings one for a couple shekels a month. And before I post it, they will 100% be changed or will be accurate. So I must just have been tired yesterday. Jamahal Hill outscoring his opponent by almost over a point per minute, scoring 98 points in his win and getting 103 points scored on him when he loses. So yeah, that is a ton. He's coming in $650 over his average salary, but he has a decent value of 7.75. The $9,000 salary wins 61.5% of the time, while the $7,200 salary wins only 38% of the time. Let's see, both Walker and Hill scoring very well in knockout TKO wins, and both giving up a ton of points when they get knocked out. Let's see here. Johnny Walker, 100% of the time, or 100% of his wins, all 4 of them, he has scored over 100 points. 2 of them he scored over 110, and he's given up 110 only 1 time. Jamahal Hill scored over 90 in 2 of his 3 wins, and over 110 in the other one, while giving up over 100 in his 1 loss in the UFC. Tons of striking points from Hill, tons of knockdown points, nothing in as far as takedowns. Is very susceptible to being taken down. 1.06 points allowed per minute in just takedowns for Jamahal Hill. But Johnny Walker, 0 takedown points in the UFC per minute. So this is going to be a striking affair, obviously. And I think one of these guys is getting finished for sure. Is Johnny Walker going to have some kind of little resurgence here? Because he has lost 3 of his last 4. Beating only Ryan Spann in that span. Jamahal Hill is 2-1 in his last 3. No contest over Klidson, and then a win over Darko. Strength of schedule is pretty close, actually. It's very, very close. Yeah, I'm going to give it to just 50-50 split there. Look at this, though. Johnny Walker in his last 5, -6 ass whooping index, decent power index. This Chindex is one of the worst on the card. 2.52, meaning you're touching him, he's going down. He's been knocked down 3 times in his past 5 fights. Meanwhile, Jamahal Hill knocking people down, three knockdowns in his past 5. So there you go. I'm leaning Jamahal Hill here, as I'm sure most of you are, and I am leaning Jamahal Hill by finish. Johnny Walker getting outscored by his opponents, outpaced, and it's not even close, almost an entire point per minute. Meanwhile, Jamahal Hill way above his opponents by over 1 point and trending way up. That is a fantastic graph from Jamahal Hill. Here are my projections, much, much higher for Hill. As far as decisions go, Johnny Walker early, but I mean, it's possible. So you have to play both sides of this, I think, just for the knockout prop. But I mean, I really like Jamahal Hill here, but you cannot count Johnny Walker out. He could land that shot at any time. And Jamahal Hill, actually, I don't know. I don't know this number. This is so annoying that I put these in wrong. That is going to bother me. Either way, you definitely have to play both sides of this. I mean, if you like Johnny Walker here, he's $1,100 less than his average salary. Jamahal Hill, $600 more. I happen to think Jamahal Hill can make this worth it. He did make the optimal lineup in one of his 2 fights last year, so he can absolutely get the job done. What's his points per win? Almost just under 100, or just under 99. So I do like that out of Jamahal Hill. We did it all 12 fights. Before I go, let's go to my picks here. In fact, this is going to be so... I don't have any salaries. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to have to talk with ComputerMonk here and find out what is going on. Maybe it's because of some of these finish odds that I have put in incorrectly. But we shall see. So I'm picking Hill, or ComputerMonk's picking Hill by finish, Daukaus, Porter by finish, Miller by finish, Buckley by finish, Benitez by finish. I tend to think Onama by finish, though. Clark by decision, Skelly by finish, Belbita by decision, Anheliger by finish. I don't know about that. Pearce by finish, and then Perrin by finish. I don't know about that either. I like Perrin by decision, actually, with the big takedown upside making me excited. So I am going to have to do my tape on that one. Other than that, we did it, guys. All 12 fights taken care of. Sorry I don't have 2 salaries, so I only have salaries for 10 of the fights. Hopefully DraftKings will put those up sometime today, and I will do my best to get this out as soon as possible. It'll probably come out about 3 p.m. What time do I usually release? Yeah, I'll probably do 2:30 or 3 p.m. Here on Tuesday, the 15th, so you guys can start getting your study in. You have all your stat study, and then you get your tape in as well. So again, please come check me out on Patreon. I put up all my stat sheets, and they will be 100% accurate after I go check those finish numbers today. But come on over, patreon.com/monkmaddox, and give me a check out. Check me out, guys. I got all the stats that you'll never see anywhere else. I have salary histories. I have DraftKings stuff, comprehensive MMA stats. I'm posting all kinds of little snippets daily. So please come check that out for just a few bucks a month. I would really appreciate that. What else is going on? Find me on Wednesday on Pub Sports Radio for the DFS show with Brady, Luke, and Wheezy as we break down our best fades, best cores, best picks, best values, dart throws, and give you our lineups as well. So don't miss that one on Wednesday, Pub Sports Radio. And then on Friday, Lou Betcha and myself, we got our Monk and Lou's happy hour show. Lou gave out a plus 3,500 prop last week that hit. Kyler Phillips round 3 sub plus 3,500. He just threw that out on the show. I think he hit a couple other ones as well. So yeah, please come check that out and have yourselves a great day, guys. Enjoy the fights this weekend. And get your tape done, yeah. And as usual, I want you all to enjoy your fights. So, enjoy. Thanks.